All right, I'm live tonight with 2/3 of the morning roast. Joe Shasky, Bonta Hill. Thank you both so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to this talk. We're having a little roast with a little toast with the morning roast, if you will. Bonte's got a lot going on over there. Bonta, show him what's good.
So we got a few bottles of Bel Air. Shout out to the boss, Rick Ross, and my boy Ben. My boy Ben, the best gin in the world right now. Shasky, he knows. He's got a bottle. McQueen and the Violent Fog, man. This is the new wave right here. This is the new wave.
The
We
new
got a
wave.
little Villon. We got a little Villon. Look at that right there, baby. That's that good stuff right there. We got a little rum. We go with a little rum. A little bamboo. A little bamboo, baby. We got a little more Bel Air, Shasky. Come on, man. Shasky, man, we popping champagne, man. It's a celebration whenever we hook up with Niner Nick. And shout out to my guy, Sean, aka Build a Beast. Dropped this Hennessy bottle off. And he called me Shasky, not you. He called me the voice of reason, man. The voice of reason right there, Bonta Hill. So I can't wait to share with you. Nick, I'm too young to drink. I'm not passing this bottle your way.
I'm good.
Shasky,
Hey,
holler at me, man.
I'm catching up. I'm gonna be 26 in May. I've been ready drinking up for longer than 5 years now. You know,
Nick, what is this? Wayne's World? This guy's over here slanging product like he's handed over here, dog. What is wrong with you?
Oh.
Hey, it's a Friday. I haven't had any sleep.
Oh.
Baby Chaz has been up. She just took a 30-minute nap. She fell asleep on the Giants. She saw the Giants start playing. She didn't want to go to sleep. I'm like, babe, these Sclafani's pitch, and I know that. You're psyched up about it. I need you to take a nap. So the boy's off no sleep. That's basically what it is. I'm wilding right now.
Man, and speaking of the Giants, I just saw someone gave up. Was it a 3-run home run? It was 1-1. Then I turned around. It was 4-1. But they've been
4-1 Marlins.
4-1 Marlins. Yeah, top of the ninth.
Told you they don't never play good at South Beach, man. Something about South Beach, Miami.
But we're decked out. We got our Niner gear on. Let's talk some 49er football. The talk of the town for the last 3-4 weeks now has been the 3rd overall pick, with the 49ers making a major move, jumping from 12th overall to 3rd overall in this upcoming draft. So let's just do a little temperature check. Who are we feeling with the 3rd overall selection? Which quarterback do you guys want?
Shasky, what you got, man? What you got? I know what you got.
This is a great question. First off, anyone but Mac Jones. I mean, let's be totally honest.
That's exactly where I'm at.
What the hell are we doing here? I mean, really, we're just trying to upgrade from Jimmy G. That's the low bar that we're trying to clear. No, they got to get a generational player. Like, clearly, Shanahan in 2019 had the first read for Jimmy Garoppolo 80% of the time by those who chart these things. 80% of the time. This isn't Jimmy G is just locked in. This is what Shanahan wants. He wants his guy to hit the read 80% of the time. So what are you going to do with that other 20%? Where can you find someone who can make plays outside of structure? Where can you find someone who can extend a play to open things up for some of these dynamic playmakers that you've drafted the last couple of years and that you've paid a significant amount of money? You need somebody who's got that second gear, that ability to extend plays in the pocket and then stretch the field vertically.
Yep.
It's not about running. This isn't about getting Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson. This is about getting somebody who can help extend the playbook so they can throw beyond the hashes, so they can throw the ball up and over the top consistently, and so they can extend plays like the rest of the quarterbacks do in this division, Matt Stafford notwithstanding. So for me, I'm okay with Justin Fields, and I'm totally fine with Trey Lance. I gave Shanahan an extension, and we can get into each quarterback specifically, but I gave him an extension because I expect him to take the guy with the highest possible ceiling, the biggest skill set, and it's up to him to shine that guy up and coach him. Like, none of these guys are finished products. Every one of them comes with risk. Every one of them comes with flaws and strengths. Shanahan, find one of these guys that you want to link up with, and let's go, doggy.
Yeah, I'm with you, Shasky. Anybody but Mac Jones, first of all. How Mac Jones is shot up the draft board is unbelievable. It's criminal. It's almost criminal. And it actually petrifies me that he may be available for the Niners at 3. Shanahan may think about it. But I'm totally with Shasky. It's Justin Fields, it's Trey Lance, or it's 3rd, Zach Wilson. There's no doubt. And I've been back and forth on Fields and Lance over the last couple of months. I really like Fields, man. I really like Fields. If you want to have some variation of the RPO in your offense, what are you going to do with Mac Jones? None of these defensive ends in the NFC West in the NFC or in the NFL is going to fall for an RPO with a quarterback like Mac Jones or Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, you think they're going to run? Like, we saw this in New Orleans when Nick Mullins read an RPO of 4th and 1 and gave it to McKinnon. Cameron Jordan and company in the Superdome were like, Nick Mullins running the football off of RPO? He's not keeping the football. We're diving and crashing on the running back on this RPO. So you need a threat who could scare the bejesus out of defenses. You really do. A guy who can, hey, the play breaks down. You can extend the play. You can make a throw down the field. You can make a play with your legs. You got to get a Ferrari, man. You don't trade these picks. You just trade up, move up to number 3 and get some Mac Jones. You got to get a guy who's got the ability to be special. And I believe Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson to a lesser extent have the ability to be special in this offense. So I like the Mac Jones stuff it's crazy. I don't even listen to it. Matter of fact, I muted Mac Jones from my Twitter account 2 weeks ago. I don't want to see anything about Mac Jones. Anybody say the only news I see about Mac Jones is when people I follow retweet it. So Mac Jones is a no-no. Go get Fields. Go get Lance. And man, if you end up with Zach Wilson, I'm a happy camper.
Well, we'll get into both Fields individually and what they do well. But on Mac Jones for a second, like how many times do I got – and again, he might be a good player at the next level, but this isn't about just being better. If they sat at 12, okay, or they snagged him in the second round, I'd be like, okay, no problem. They moved heaven and earth. They moved heaven and earth. Taking Mac Jones after trading 2 future first-rounders and swapping a first, to me – this would be one of the more arrogant, stubborn picks in the history of the NFL. Like, this isn't just about selecting a quarterback. This is about what you've given up, cost analysis. There's a valuation chart when you're drafting, right? So, for example, when the Niners went back, and I know they took Solomon Thomas, a horrible pick. They traded down. They gave him an extra pick, and they used that as ammunition to move up and get Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster was deemed good value on draft day because they're looking at a top 10 guy coming out that they got at 31. Now, it ended up the guy just couldn't play because he's a knucklehead. He couldn't stay healthy, and he clearly wasn't checking all the boxes in terms of, hey, can you just keep your brain on straight when we go travel to Tampa Bay and not invite a girl to the hotel? So my point is, it ain't just
the same girl you got caught. Hey, Shasky, the same girl you got caught up with that offseason who almost had your ass in jail. Like, are you stupid or are you stupid?
Hey, stupid. He's very stupid. So Mac Jones in a vacuum. I'm not a terrible situation. Player. I'm out on Mac Jones at 3.
At 3. That's
that you've given up. And then looking at what you have right now, is he incrementally better than Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know. Maybe one day he might be better than Jimmy G. Will he ever be better than Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray in this division? No. Okay? And when you make a move of the magnitude that they made, I'm not looking for better than Jimmy G. I'm looking for generational organizational greatness. I'm looking for somebody who's going to come up behind Joe Montana and Steve Young and try to nip at their heels for greatest quarterback in franchise history. You don't swing a deal like this and go get yourself stubborn little Mac Jones. And you talk about bad decision making. Bonta, you and I talked about this. How are you a good decision maker? Like, on the real, how are you a good decision maker when you're the only of the potential first-round draft picks to get a DUI in college? The first time in your life you're not near your parents. That, to me, is worse than any decision you can make on the field of play.
You know what's crazy about that, Nick? I know you want to move on here, but
no, we're good.
This was Justin Fields with the DUI. If this was Trey Lance with a DUI, he wouldn't be picked till late in the first round. It would have been this headline every single day. And you know what he would have had to done? Schedule a presser in front of all these media members and explain himself on the DUI. Mac Jones is sitting back pretty, not having to explain a damn thing. It's, hey, Mac Jones had a DUI. We ain't heard from Mac Jones yet. We haven't heard from anybody. Like when Nick Bosa got caught up with the racist stuff, he came out here, and I get it. He explained it at the introductory press conference. But, man, these guys don't explain anything before draft day, and that's a little unfair, man, if we know what we're talking about here. We know what I'm talking about when it comes to Fields and Mac Jones. Like, how can you look at Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson, watch their tape, watch every single game, and say, you know what? I'm going to take Mac Jones ahead of all these dudes. Like, are you serious? Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Henry, them dudes are running wide open. And Najee, and you're seeing the defenses against Alabama. They can't do anything because it's like, all right, we load up against the run, we're going to get cooked on the outside. If we play a light box and have 6 or 7 in the box, well, Najee Harris is going to ram it down our throats. So if you're Mac Jones, you got the best of both worlds, man. You really do. So I think we're all out on Mac Jones, Nick. I think we're all out.
No, I'm right there. So I sent something out. ABJ, anybody but Jones. Anybody but Jones at 3. Because when you look, I'm right there with you, Joe. With the 12th overall pick, if you want to get the 5th quarterback that goes in the draft at 12, fine. So be it. There's a lot of value there. You get a cost-controlled quarterback over the course of the next 5 years. But like you guys have been talking about, once you make that jump and you part with 2 future first-round picks, you have to get a transcendent talent there. You can't get the classic drop back passer. And, Mac Jones, he can navigate the pocket. He's a great anticipation thrower, whatever you want to give him as his pros versus his cons, whatever that may be. But the bottom line is his ceiling is so much lower than all of the other prospects that you could possibly get at 3. And this is something that I want to ask you both, because I tweeted this poll out, and it kind of relates to how confident you are that Kyle Shanahan will not take Mac Jones at 3, because I think it is a huge testament to the stubbornness of Kyle Shanahan if he does take Mac Jones at 3, just the classic quarterback in the pocket. And I tweeted this out. How would you feel afterward? Immediate reaction towards Kyle Shanahan. What if he does select Mac Jones 3rd overall? And these were the 4. I laid out a spectrum. And the A side of the poll was you have confidence in Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They deserve the trust of the fan base. Whoever they pick at 3, if it's Mac Jones, I'm going to ride with it because I trust them. Then B was like, I'm indifferent. I'm not that excited over Mac Jones, but we'll see how it all plays out. C was like, okay, I'm very concerned. I do not like this decision at all. And D was, I'm pissed off. You just selected Mac Jones 3rd overall. This is inexcusable. You're on the hot seat right now, Kyle Shanahan. If Mac Jones goes 3rd overall and it's Kyle Shanahan's decision, he's the head honcho in the front office. We all know that. Where do you guys see yourself right there on that spectrum? If Mac Jones.
You see this bag? He better start packing his bags, and I'll come and pick his ass up if he takes Mac Jones. It'll be one of the most arrogant picks in the history of the NFL, and he better start packing his bags. This is what John Lynch is there for, to talk him off the ledge. Look,
dude, Shasky.
Kyle shouldn't have autonomy. I'm not saying Kyle shouldn't have final say, but you got to allow other people in the room to give you good wisdom, like to talk you out of doing dumb crap. This is why whenever I make a decision in my life, I try to source from people that I trust who've made life decisions before. Kyle, I love you, dude, but sometimes you're in your own dome. If you select Mac Jones, I'm telling you right now, after giving up what they gave up, you think the D Ford. See, this is something that's interesting, Nick. Bonta, I would love your opinion on this too, Nick. It's not just that D Ford's hurt. It's that D Ford cost you a 2nd rounder, a top 2nd round pick at the top of the draft. It's also that you dumped a ton of money into him. So even if you wanted Mac Jones, you could have had him at 8 and only given up 1 draft pick. Yeah. You could have taken him at 12 maybe had he fallen down hypothetically. 2 extra first rounders plus moving up to 3, plus paying him the premium of being in the top 5 because it's slotted. Like,
yes.
There is a valuation on this. This isn't just the player in the vacuum. There's so many angles to this. So again, Mac Jones in the 2nd round, later on in the 1st, I'd be open-minded to it. Mac Jones at 3?
Yeah. No, you nailed everything because if you do it at 12, fine. Like, that's a draft day trade. If you see that the top 4 quarterbacks are off the board, okay, now let's jump to 7 and get Mac Jones there. But you don't, a whole month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks before the draft, you don't trade up from 12 to 3 to get Mac Jones 3rd overall. You don't do that. That's why I'm going to give Shanahan the benefit of the doubt. And I just don't see how it's possible to select Mac Jones 3rd overall. I will crucify him if he does, because it's how do you do that? It's inexcusable to draft a guy that's limited as far as his physicality, how physical he is, his athleticism, all that. You just can't make that jump from 12 to 3 for Mac Jones. And it seems like we're all on the same page right there.
Well, let me say something, Nick. First of all, at number 12, I wouldn't even take Mac Jones. He would not be on my draft board. I'd rather roll with Felipe Franks, Kellen Mond. I may even take a flyer on Kyle Trask over Mac Jones. I swear to God. I swear to God, I wouldn't. I don't want anything to do with Mac Jones. I don't want anything to do with Mac Jones. I'd go third round or just run it back with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want anything to do with Mac Jones. He would not be on my draft board, number one. So to answer your question about the poll, how would I feel about Kyle Shanahan? I'll just laugh. Because he already got the ultimate pass in that 2017 draft. We all agree that quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. I'm screaming from the high heavens. I didn't know Mahomes was going to be Mahomes. I really didn't. I wouldn't have touched him that high. But Deshaun Watson, mind you what's going on right now. Just go back to 2017 when we didn't know what's going on right now. It's easy to say, oh, well, Deshaun Watson's in a bunch of legal trouble. Thank God the Niners didn't do that. We had no idea. We thought he was a nice young man coming out of Clemson. He could still be, depending on the legal system and how that plays out. But he was a no-brainer pick. The guy changed the culture at Clemson. You're looking for culture changes with the 49ers at that point, coming off of Chip Kelly, Trent Baalke, Jim Tomsula, the Kaepernick saga, however that played out. Jet York's trying to redeem himself. You had a quarterback right there. You decided, you know what? We're going to go a different route. And you're going to sign Brian Hoyer and trade up to go draft C.J. Beathard. And then midway through the year, you panic saying, oh, my God, we don't have a quarterback for the next season. What do we do? Belichick bails him out with Jimmy Garoppolo. Boom, you start winning football games. But this guy had a flirtation for Kirk Cousins. We all saw Kirk Cousins in the divisional round just clam up against that Niners defense.
Outside of Stephon Diggs' little play to Emmanuel that he fell down on and he ran, that was the only play in that entire game.
Only play he made.
Yeah.
Only play he made. He was flirting with Kirk Cousins. So I already have reservations on how Shanahan views quarterbacks. To me, and look, we could get into Justin Fields on whether or not he's going to even be there at 3. Because I don't believe he's going to be there at 3. I can't believe the Jets are going to be that stupid and pass up on Justin Fields at number 2. But Shanahan, if he makes this pick with Mac Jones, I'm just going to sit there on the mic and be like, I'm not surprised. And he might as well, like the bag that Shasky had, he's going to have a couple years to fix it. And you better make Mac Jones into a star, because all of a sudden you put yourself on the hot seat by making a pick like that.
This is one more thing that I'll add is that if you take a player like Mac Jones opposed to Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, there's going to be so much more pressure on him to succeed early on, especially if these other guys come in the league and start lighting it up. To me, he has a shorter leash because there's already a ton of pressure. You just traded 2 future first-round picks. Right. So you need to nail this. And if you take Mac Jones, the fan base is not going to have an easy time buying into Mac Jones when these other –
Ask Alex Smith. Nick, ask Alex Smith what it was like. You were the guy that everyone did not want to be taken.
You know what's funny about this? You know what's funny about this? Whoever they pick at number 3, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them because this roster, unlike the roster with Alex Smith, that was an expansion team. So this team's ready to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, they have the talent. They have just as much talent, if not more, than Tampa Bay. So they're right there with Tampa Bay. They have a Super Bowl ready roster. So whoever they take is walking in here with a lot of pressure to perform. And if you do it with Mac Jones and it doesn't pan out, not only do you lose games, not only do you lose the fan base, you lose the damn locker room. You lose the locker room. And all of a sudden, Nick Bosa's saying, you know what? I ain't signing no extension. Trade me. Fred Warner Jr., I may get my money this year. Trade me. Get me out of here. You moved on and went to a rookie quarterback who can't read an NFL defense. All of a sudden, you lose guys like Trent Williams, who says, you know what? My elbow's a little sore today. I ain't playing. Coach, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Yep. You risk a number of things. You risk a plethora of things here if you're Kyle Shanahan, if you select Mac Jones.
There's just no way that the players in the locker room, no one wants to see Mac Jones come in, especially 3rd overall.
Come on, man.
We differentiate on opinions right there because I wouldn't mind if he was the 5th quarterback available and you're still at 12. I would not mind Mac Jones there because of the millions and millions and millions of dollars difference between him and Jimmy Garoppolo contract-wise. But whoever comes in, regardless of which rookie quarterback comes in, there's going to be pressure on him because this is a win now team, right? There's going to be pressure, but I'm talking specifically pressure on Kyle Shanahan. If this team does not show promise, and within the next 2 years with Mac Jones, people are going to be calling for his head. How do you, this is like you touched on in 2017, you don't even scout Deshaun Watson. You don't scout Patrick Mahomes. And then this year you go get Mac Jones. You don't.
No. Hey, Nick, they went to Mahomes workout and Lynch was like,
Lynch specifically, but like.
Right. We may have to rethink this. This guy is special. And like, you should never even told me that. I know people like the truth and it's cool and all that, but I don't even need to know that you called Shanahan and it was like you couldn't sway him.
Let me defend them on that one. And again, I'm not saying this is all the way, but I understand the thought process.
Yeah, no, I do too.
We are a completely rebuilding team. Let's go back to that. They had not one blue chip player. I didn't know DeForest was going to turn into a blue chip player. I was like, okay, he played every snap in 2016. That team had no life, no pulse. I saw them draft a 20-year-old Alex Smith. I sat and I watched that guy weigh 185 pounds and get his face kicked in when they traded away Tim Rattay 4 games into the season. All right, they did a disservice that year. No offensive line, no weapons, no coordinator, no nothing. He had no chance to survive early on. I understand being like, you know what? I'd love to take a quarterback right now, but then my entire life is hitched with no other talent on this roster to developing this guy. That's what the Jets did with Sam Darnold. Look what happened. Gase, those guys, all gone. Now, Gase didn't draft Darnold. He was there to help him. But every other coach, Todd Bowles, everybody associated with Darnold, gone. Now, I'm not saying that exactly would have happened, but I understand pushing it down the road. In hindsight, really, it's
I don't buy that, Shasky. I don't buy it. Shasky, I don't buy that. You see every single expansion team, you see every franchise, get the quarterback first. Get the quarterback out of the way and build around him. Now, you don't have to play Watson that first year. He sits back and watches. Like, I know fans want to see a rookie quarterback right away. You don't have to do that. If you plan on this guy being your quarterback for 10 to 12 years, what's a year sitting, learning, watching, studying film?
I watched nothing. Play. Fans lost their minds and couldn't wait for 6 games in for C.J. Beathard, the 3rd-round pick, to go in there against Washington. The kid's gonna play dead. Like, we went nuts. Do you not?
Idiot.
Wandering in the desert, going 0-9, getting your face kicked in by the Eagles. It was like, oh my God. Then they trade for Jimmy. Look, again, I'm not saying it was right. All I'm saying is I understand the thought process.
Think about that, Shasky. Think about that, Shasky. Think about that. They went 0-9, started Beathard, started C.J. Beathard, started Hoyer, panicked and said, oh, crap, we don't have a quarterback. Oh, crap, what do we do here? Oh, crap, let's go trade for a guy named Jimmy Garoppolo because freaking Kirk Cousins is not going to be available. So you still gave up a 2nd-round pick to go get a quarterback who can help you play. So why not just draft the guy there? Your clock's not starting. They got 6-year deals.
Yeah, but the last 2 guys before him got fired after 1 year. What? It was horrible. Went to 3 straight championships. Gone. To Tom Sula, gone after 1 year. Chip. Like, I understand being paid. Look, again, it's not. Hindsight's telling you they made a massive oversight. I'm just saying, in real time, I understood where they were coming from. I
hated that.
I didn't want Solomon. I wanted McCaffrey. I wanted McCaffrey. Everybody thought I was crazy. I said that's more.
Well, what are you going to do? But think about that, Shasky. You get McCaffrey, and he's going to get his ass kicked behind that offensive line too. What running room? You would have worked his ass out. So
the one thing I'd say, how much of that thought, because this is speculation, right? Yes. Was that truly Kyle Shanahan's thought process, or was it, I don't want to even bother with these quarterbacks in the 2017 draft because my heart is set on Kirk Cousins? And who knows?
Is that scary?
Who knows? It is. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's scary. It's scary for this specific year with everything coming up.
I also think, Nick, look who was winning the Super Bowl around that time. Matt Ryan's an MVP, okay? Yep. Stationary quarterback. Nick Foles is winning the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, stationary quarterback. Tom Brady, stationary quarterback. Drew Brees is still good. Stationary quarterback. Who is coming up on the rise? The Jared Goff, stationary quarterback. Just 3 years later, name me a stationary quarterback who's young, who's a promising player. There really isn't any.
There is none,
is the only quarterback. And even him, I'd say he's like the 5th best player on his own offense.
But that's what's disappointing about Shanahan passing up. And I don't want to stick on 2017, but he had RG3. And RG3 was so damn dynamic in that offense. And Shanahan talks about it. He said, we only ran it outside zone. He said something like, we only ran it, 8% of the time. But people were petrified of it because of the RPO action of RG3 and his capabilities of taking it with his legs 80 yards. He went down to New Orleans that first game with RG3 and lit the Saints up in the Superdome. I'll never forget it. And that was with RG3. So that's why it's a little disappointing that Shanahan has finally come around to these type of quarterbacks, because he had one.
We don't know that. We don't know that yet for sure, that he's coming around to the mobile quarterback. We'll find out in 2 weeks. We'll find out in 2 weeks.
You know, but Nick, he had a firsthand seat to see Mahomes in that championship, in that Super Bowl, kick his butt in the final 7 minutes, even though the defense played lights out. He saw Kyler Murray with no weapons in year one out there slinging it. He's seen Russell Wilson be a thorn in his side for how many years? If you
Josh Allen Monday Night Football.
Now, the Josh Allen game was unbelievable. The guy was orchestrating everything pre-snap. No one knew he had that in the bag in his game. Look, Justin Herbert doing what he did last year is impossible to not see. You have to be living in full denial to not see that mobility is part of the game. It cannot be your crutch. Your arm and throwing from the pocket is how you're going to win. But as a secondary tool outside of structure, mobility is a
Shasky froze up.
Belt weapon to have.
Good. I think we're good. We might have Bonta, you're frozen up. Let me see what's going on. But wait, here we go. Is he back? You back?
Oh, I'm back. Was that my internet? I was like, man, I'm lost over here.
No, that might have been good.
Get it up, bro.
But let's jump to a second topic. And you know, if you log on to Twitter and you follow a bunch of 49ers fans, whatever the case may be, everybody thinks that Justin Fields is a lock at 3 for the 49ers. And I'm with Bonta. If I'm the Jets, I'd prefer to take Justin Fields over Zach Wilson. If you just look at their statures and playing style, I'm way more comfortable over a 10-year period having Justin Fields on my team opposed to Zach Wilson. So in the events, and I don't know who you guys prefer personally, at 3, I want Justin Fields. That's who I'm kind of honing in on. But if he's not there at 3, what should the game plan be for the 49ers if it goes Trevor Lawrence 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars and then Justin Fields 2 to the New York Jets? What do the 49ers do at 3? And Joe, while you give your answer, I'm going to take Bonta out and bring him back in real quick, see if he can fix his internet.
You know what? I feel like we're splitting hairs on a lot of these guys. The 49ers situation is so unique. How many times do we see a team that has a really good offensive line, at least on paper right now, outside of the one guard position, and 2 really nice, young, promising wide receivers on the outside with an all-world tight end and an elite running game? How many times do we get an unbelievable play caller who's at the helm and the infrastructure on offense and then a complementary defense opposite that? How many teams have the luxury of moving up in the draft into the top 4 or 5 slots to take a quarterback? Not many. Most of the times, these guys go to god-awful teams or, that don't have weapons, don't have coaching, don't have complementary pieces around them. So I think when it comes to these guys, you're not going to play one of these guys right away. That's the way I view it. You still have a competent quarterback. Even if you remove Jimmy Garoppolo from the equation and you wanted to free up that money, who are you signing in free agency worth $25 million? I would love to know the name or 2 or 3 names that people want to sign. You don't just get rid of a player because you're done with him. Like, you need to get something back. Now, I've been floating out the Stephon Gilmore plus a 4th rounder to New England. They get Jimmy Garoppolo. You get a cornerback in this division. God, you'd love to have one to go up against DK and Lockett and DeAndre Hopkins and everything they got down in LA. But between Justin Fields and Trey Lance, I think they're very similar. Physical stature, unbelievable pocket presence. The one area where I really like Trey Lance, and it intrigues me, there's a leap of faith here. Okay, you have to admit it. A leap
of course.
What is it? Division 2A, whatever the heck they're calling it now, football player. We know we know Easton Stick, so there's a big variance there. Carson's got as much talent as anyone in the league. It's between the ears for that guy. I mean, there's no other way around it. And the injury history. I love that they run a pro system where you're in a huddle, you're calling sophisticated plays that have long verbiage. I love that he's under center, calling out line protections, all right? Something that a lot of these other spread schools don't do. Kyler Murray, for example, never got in a huddle. In the NFL, you huddle on every play. I mean, Arizona is an outlier for running a spread, no huddle offense. You huddle up on every play. You're calling out long verbiage plays. That's what the NFL is. That's the learning curve for a lot of these guys. And then the most important, especially in a Shanahan system, you are going to run play action till you're blue in the face. Turning your back under center, okay, and running play action, turning your back to the defense is a nuance that takes a lot of guys a long, long time to learn. It's one thing to go hut, hike from the spread in the shotgun. Everything's in front of you, and you can, hump the barrels, the fish in the barrel, if you will. It's another to call hike from under center, turn your back to the defense, and then open up. To me, the fact this kid has 300 snaps under center is an underrated element that nobody's bringing up. Could you teach Justin Fields that? Absolutely. The toughness, the competition that this guy played against. Did you see him against Clemson when he almost got his shoulder knocked off and he comes back on the field and throws a touchdown? I mean, there's a lot to like about both guys. And this is where it goes, hey, whoever's available, I think they're so close, either one of them can be fine. This is up to Shanahan to coach these guys up. Nick, what quarterback has gotten better being alongside Shanahan since he's been here?
Has there been a single one? Jimmy Garoppolo looked his best in 2017 as far as just making things happen, playing freely. 2018, he experienced the ACL injury, and Bonta just hopped off, but he's going to be right back in. 2019, Garoppolo, you could just tell his playing style was just so playing within the system and not really making things happen like we saw from him in 2017. Bonte's back. Here we go. We're talking about what the 49ers should do if any quarterback has gotten better over their time with Kyle Shanahan. CJ Beathard never really improved too much. Nick Mullins put up the flashy numbers, most passing yards, third most passing yards over X amount of games, whatever it was. But I'm right there with you. Trey Lance, he has the most snaps or the most reps under center out of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in this draft. And you know who has the least, surprisingly? Trevor Lawrence. So if the 49ers find themselves in a position where Justin Fields does go second overall, and I would like to hear your guys' stance on this. If it goes Lawrence, Fields, I'd rather have Trey Lance at 3 than Zach Wilson. Yeah,
I want Trey.
The Trey Lance train, because there's something with Zach Wilson. He makes me nervous. He's not the biggest guy. He has that it's a Johnny Manziel playing style. And I was on Grant's show the other day. We were talking. We were talking about we were trying to give comparisons, and I'm not a huge fan of player comps or anything, but I was talking like the worst. I could really see Zach Wilson being a slightly better version than Johnny Manziel without the off-field concerns. At least there's none documented up to this point about Zach Wilson. But if you look at his playing style, it's so Johnny Manziel-like. And Manziel was 2.5 inches shorter than Zach Wilson, so there's differential in stature there. But there's something about Zach Wilson that I really just can't pinpoint that I'm not comfortable with over the long haul. So I'll take Trey Lance, who's 20 years old, 6'4", 6'5", with the rocket arm, can run all over the field.
And a great release. His throwing motion is beautiful.
And he's already running those play action fakes that he ran at North Dakota. He's an FCS champion at the age of 20 years. He was 19 years old. He was 19 years old winning college football championships and at the FCS level, which is still Division I. And he can't even legally drink right now. He can't even be out here with us sipping on whatever Bonte's sipping on. He's got the bottles. We're out here. Shout out Kona Brewing Company. My glass is empty, but anyway, you guys get the point.
Look, let me get in on here. Let me get in here.
Go ahead. But I'd rather have Trey Lance than Zach Wilson.
I don't know what's going on with the internet. I never had these issues here, but whatever. Look, if Justin Fields is gone at 2, I want Trey Lance. This is a guy I wanted back in November, and now Justin Fields is kind of wanting me over. But I personally don't believe the Jets are that fool. You're talking about Shanahan taking Mac Jones. If the Jets take anybody but Justin Fields at 2, well, Robert Saleh better be renting and not buying houses out there. He better be renting rooms because his job will be gone in 3 years if he takes anybody other than Justin Fields in that situation. Trey Lance is a guy where you talk about that game against James Madison in the national championship. This guy ran everything. The play action pass, he was running, he was throwing dimes. And James Madison is no joke. James Madison is a tough team in that division. So I like Trey Lance, and he's played just as many games as Mac Jones. Everybody's fixated on the snaps or whatnot. He's played just as many games as Mac Jones, and he gives you that dynamic of throwing the football down the field. And look, even if you draft him this year, I'm not saying play him, but if you brought back Jimmy and you drafted Trey Lance, you can have Trey Lance run your red zone packages inside the 10-yard line because that young man has a nose for the end zone. There's certain guys who know how to get to the pylon. They know how to score touchdowns. Trey Lance gets inside that red zone. He knows how to score touchdowns, whether it's throwing, whether it's running, whether it's RPOs. And at North Dakota State, running that NFL complex system, it's Trey Lance for me because Zach Wilson, for whatever reason, he was a flavor of the month. But when you really dive into him, he was competing for a job going into that season. The year before, he stunk. He was on nobody's radar. And you look at the competition. I can't help but look at the competition. He was lighting up bona fide scrubs. All right, bona fide scrubs out there. And one game where they played against a team with some NFL speed, he looked shook. He looked shook in that game.
He conducted himself too, outside of the plays that were being run, and the way that he conducted himself, attitude-wise, to me, like, I don't want to see that from my quarterback, Bonta.
No doubt. Give me Trey Lance, Nick. Give me Trey Lance at 3.
Real quick on the Trey Lance thing, Nick, and I'm curious your thoughts. When you watch again, it's all highlights and highlight packages, and there's 45-minute breakdowns. But you do see a lot of the things Shanahan likes to run. 2 tight end sets. Let me go a deep boot action to throw the misdirection all the way on the other side. Let me throw the deep crossing route all the way to the other side. The throw, Jimmy is very reluctant to make that deep over-the-top pass. He always wants to check down or take the intermediate throw. I think you could see a lot of the Shanahan-style plays in what you see in those highlight packages. But, again, those are highlights. We don't know what the decision is like when it's not a highlight package.
Go back and watch his games, man. Go back and watch some games, and he got some throws in game that'll make you go, wow. Seriously, Trey Lance will make you go, wow. Now, not to say that Mac Jones didn't make a couple throws that had me like, whoa, wait a minute. Because the Citrus Bowl against Michigan, first play of the game, he threw a bomb at Judy. I said, who the hell is that? I remember looking at my girl saying, you see that? Let me rewind this for you. Hey, I love me a deep bomb. I'm like Al Davis, baby. Give me the long downfield pass. I missed that out here in San Francisco. That's the one thing with Jimmy that you're right, Shasky and Nick. I miss going deep down the field, flipping the game with one play. There's nothing better than 2-play, 75-yard drive. I'm so sick of the 15-play, 70 yards, 7 minutes, 23 seconds. Put some pressure on these offenses, man. Score quick. And these quarterbacks here in Justin Fields and Trey Lance, I think they have the ability to strike quick, like Kaepernick did in those 3 years, man. Niners went on a lot of 4-play, 80-yard drives with Colin Kaepernick, man, getting chunk plays. These quarterbacks can get you some chunk plays in Justin Fields and Trey Lance.
Who does Trey Lance remind you of? Because I got a little comp for Cam Newton. And another quick thing for Justin Fields. People talk about the throws, the attempts. Oh, he only attempted 17, 18 throws a game when you average it out. Cam Newton won the national championship throwing 16 and a half times a game. Okay?
Oh, I know.
And then for 800 yards in his first 2 games ever in the NFL. So I saw Graham Harrell drop back for Texas Tech and throw it 65 times a game and just couldn't play in the NFL. The amount of throws that you make at college, there is no transferable data for the next level. It just
that's the thing, Shasky. Well, that's the thing. When you go to Shanahan's offense, you're going to be throwing the ball about 20 to 25 times because they're going to be running it down team's throat with the zone, whether it's Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jermichael Hasty, or a running back you may draft in the second or third round. Young man out of North Carolina, maybe Oklahoma State, Sermon. I mean, you're going to run the football a lot in this offense with Kyle Shanahan. So you don't need your quarterback to throw the ball 40 times a game. However, hopefully these quarterbacks be groomed enough, Nick. If they're groomed enough, they can start to do that later in their career. But early on, throw the ball 20, 25 times. Brady did it. Ben Roethlisberger did it. They were treated with – they were handcuffed. Phillip Rivers early on was handing the ball off to LaDainian Tomlinson a lot. You're going to run the football in the Shanahan offense. So you don't need these guys to throw the ball 30 to 35 times a game.
Yeah.
Throw it about 25 times a game, but make those 25 throws count.
So this is something you touched on, Bonta, about being able to bring Trey Lance in those red zone packages. That's what we saw from Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick scored his first career rushing touchdown when he was backing up Alex Smith now. And this is a scenario that's really, really growing on me, especially if Justin Fields goes second overall, is pairing Trey Lance, drafting him. And whether or not he does it, if he needs time to develop, that's kind of irrelevant. I like Jimmy Garoppolo still being on this roster unless you get significant compensation for him. Like if the Patriots offer the 15th overall pick and you part with the 43rd overall pick and Jimmy Garoppolo, well, I don't see it happening either. With that being said, though, I have no problem keeping Jimmy Garoppolo on the football team this upcoming season.
Yeah.
That's just where I stand. And partnering Jimmy Garoppolo with Trey Lance, this is how I see it. First of all, a rookie quarterback has never won the Super Bowl, and you have better Super Bowl odds, and that's the name of the game. Season ticket holders, everybody that follows the 49ers closely wants to see this team get back to the Super Bowl and win it. You have a better chance of that happening with Jimmy Garoppolo starting the season. And what I want to see, regardless if it's Justin Fields or Trey Lance, whoever it is, I want an open competition. I want an open competition. Let these guys go duke it out for at least this season. You move Jimmy next year if you don't get any enticing trade offers. I have an issue with just giving a quarterback the keys to the franchise. There's a sense of entitlement right there. Let them battle. Let them get after it. Go after one another. If the rookie quarterback beats Jimmy Garoppolo, so be it. And you have to trade him for a 6th-round pick, so be it. What's it really going to matter in the long run? But the bottom line is you gotta try to keep the Super Bowl hopes alive in 2021. I don't want to punt the season or be okay going out in the divisional round. You got to try to win a Super Bowl, which is why Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo is such an ideal situation for me. Give Jimmy Garoppolo, if he gets hurt, here comes Trey Lance. But if not, and this is a scenario nobody talks about that I think is somewhat realistic. What if Jimmy Garoppolo plays another 16-game season, has another year like he had in 2019? You're getting almost a 1st-round pick and a 2nd-round pick, 2 1st-round picks. Nobody's talking about that scenario, but I can see it happening. All he has to do is just execute Shanahan's system like he did in 2019. Be the facilitator of that offense. If you complete 70% of your passes, throw 27 touchdowns to whatever he threw. He had a great year in 2019.
Dude, Nick,
he's top 5.
It's disrespectful. It's downright disrespectful to say that wouldn't be an ideal situation. And if Jimmy gets beat out in training camp, then you do what Seattle did. They signed Matt Flynn for $10 million. They draft Russell Wilson. He beats him out. They move off of Matt Flynn just like that. Bye-bye. You could do the same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo in training camp. Anybody need a quarterback, a serviceable quarterback? You know he can win games if he's healthy. There you go, and you roll with Trey Lance. But starting Jimmy Garoppolo with the rookie quarterback, a hot shot behind him, will not only bring out the best in Jimmy Garoppolo, think about the weapons on this football team right now. They're a lot better than they were in 2019. All right? You're throwing to Deebo Samuel, who was a rookie wide receiver. A rookie. You had George Kittle, but he was banged up towards the tail end of the season. Remember, he had the pop capsule in his kneecap. Remember, we couldn't figure out what the hell that was, Shasky? He had the ankle issues. He was banged up. Emmanuel Sanders, it's been reported, he had broken ribs. All right? He was playing with broken ribs basically after the 2nd game he was here in San Francisco. So, yeah, Ayuk, Deebo, who I expect to be healthy in year 3, Kittle, and who knows what they're going to do at the other tight end spot. You got a stable of running backs. This is the best skill set, if Jimmy comes back, that he's ever going to have in San Francisco. So who's to say he can't thrive? And I know a lot of people laugh about last year. Look, they beat the Rams on Sunday Night Football when Ayuk, Deebo, and Kittle was in there. They go to New England with Deebo, Ayuk, and George Kittle. They beat the hell out of New England. Beat the dog piss out of them. And they were healthy. And then all hell broke loose in Seattle. If Trey Lance is the pick, I'm keeping Jimmy for the year. And I'm saying, you know what? Let's try to win the Super Bowl because, like you said, Nick, nothing's guaranteed 2 years from now. George Kittle's been hurt a lot. That's why I favor Travis Kelce, because he's always available. George Kittle's been banged up a lot. Nick Bosa's coming off a torn ACL. You know what I'm saying? We know about the injury history to D Ford. All right? The cornerback situation with Jason Verrett. Can he stay healthy again? Can Jimmy Ward stay healthy for another 16? Can Jaquiski Tartt stay healthy for 16 at strong safety? Because I sure in the hell don't trust Marcel Harris or Charvarius Moore.
Yeah.
So the injuries that come into play in the NFL, you can't look 2 to 3 years down the line outside of the quarterback position. You got to try to win now while this roster is still in its prime. Because if you waste a year, Kittle and company, then what happens 2 years from now? What happens 3 years from now? The wear and tear of this roster. So you got to maximize the situation now. And that's why if you do draft Trey Lance, you keep Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I think too many people think this is mad. This isn't a video game. Like, oh my God, you get a pick. And Like, go through the history of the NFL. Dan Pastorini and Roger Staubach, they battled it out for a long time. Eventually, Roger Staubach, iron sharpens iron. He got better because of it. Joe Montana would go in for Steve DeBerg at times, and Steve DeBerg eventually had to give up the reins to Joe Montana, but it helped Joe Montana to have those moments. You guys referenced Colin Kaepernick going in. Remember the game against the Green Bay Packers before halftime? Alex Smith is the quarterback. He is the starter. Oh, great. Here we go. My phone is ringing. He is the starter for this team, all right? And Kaepernick comes in right before halftime, runs for like 35 yards, slides down, gets them in field goal range, and Akers with half a hip kicks a big-time field goal. We've seen this throughout the league. And then conversely, I saw firsthand when Tim Rattay started the first 4 or 5 games for the 49ers, they said, we're going to move to Alex Smith. We don't want Tim Rattay around. We're going to trade him away. Alex's development was completely stunted. Again, it's not a video game. You know how much downtime there is where you have to go over film and you're with the quarterback? It's nice to have somebody who's taken live bullets in that room with you, studying, teaching the young man. I'm telling you, I discredited how much Alex Smith meant to Colin Kaepernick in 2013 because look at what he was looking at in that film. You're telling me that Alex Smith didn't help him in 2012, even just a little? Just a little? I'm not taking anything away from Kaepernick's ability, but there's a little more to this in terms of the intangibles.
Mahomes.
And so you keep
Think about
Jimmy
Mahomes
Garoppolo,
and Alex Smith.
That's obvious. You keep Jimmy Garoppolo around to teach the young guy how to be a professional every single day and what to look for and the ups and downs and how to get critiqued. Like, there's so much more than just the kid being the better player, right? That's one element of it. There's so many facets nobody wants to address.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many people out there talking within the 49ers fan base that just want to see Jimmy Garoppolo gone and just have this rookie thrown into the fire. And I get that. You know, you learn through experience, you get better through experience, but there's something about keeping Jimmy Garoppolo around. It keeps your Super Bowl odds a lot higher. There's no way. You have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl with a quarterback that was just there 2 years ago than completing something that's never been done before. So it's nice to hear that you guys are on a similar page where there's a lot of good that could come out of keeping Jimmy Garoppolo around. I don't necessarily want him beyond this season, but I think there's a ton more value keeping him on the roster than shipping him off for a 5th-round pick or whatever. I don't know what his trade value is. It's all speculation. You know, best case scenario, he gets
because who are you going to run?
Maybe for a 1st or 2nd round pick. But if we're talking about a 3rd or a 4th round pick, I don't want to move Jimmy Garoppolo for that. For what? For what? There's more value keeping. Just look what happened last year having only one competent quarterback when Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard step on the field. If the 49ers just had a little better quarterback play, they would have beat the Washington football team. They would have beat the Dallas Cowboys, and they would have been in the playoffs. That team last year would have been in the playoffs. And that's to Bonte's point where if you look what this team has around them, they're in a position to succeed right now. Why waste a year trying to accomplish something that's never been done before when you have talking about a rookie quarterback going to and winning the Super Bowl, when you have a quarterback that was just there 2 years ago? I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo should be the starter in the 2021 season. I'm just saying let them compete against each other and let the better man win. And then let the better man take over the –
What if Justin Fields is the pick at 3? What if Fields drops at 3? You starting Justin Fields day 1?
Well – if Justin Fields looks better than Jimmy Garoppolo, you can't pencil in. I personally don't like penciling in a week 1 starter. Let's just say if Justin Fields if he starts blowing people away at camp and he's head over heels better than Jimmy Garoppolo, yes. But if they're going at it and he's struggling, then no, you don't start him. You start Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why I like to see these guys compete against each other instead of just, oh, you're a 3rd overall pick. Here you go. Here's the keys to the car. Go ahead.
Right.
This is your team now. I want to see competition. And it doesn't matter if it's Trey Lance. It doesn't matter if it's Justin Fields. Even if it's Trey Lance and Trey Lance looks better than Jimmy Garoppolo, go ahead and start Trey Lance, you know. But then if he starts struggling, but you never want to be in a position like last year with the Miami Dolphins. You know how the Dolphins looked last year when here comes Tua. And now we're going to pull out Tua and put in Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not a fan of Tua, and I didn't like that situation, putting in your rookie, then pulling him for Ryan Fitzpatrick. You want to avoid that at all costs. But I like keeping Jimmy Garoppolo.
Do you hear that?
Somebody's getting a phone call.
I was on my I was on a little tangent there. I didn't even hear it vibrating. But you guys caught what you guys caught what I was saying, right?
I caught what you said. No, I got you, man. I think we're all in agreement there. Look, go ahead.
I want to ask you guys, like, honestly. I mean, let's be honest. This is make or break. This pick. Why would you want to rush this thing? You want to slow cook this thing. This is like you met the woman of your dreams, okay?
Well,
you have an opportunity to take your time. I'm not saying you have a 3-year engagement. What I'm saying is like you don't want to go to Vegas and get married immediately, right? You want to slow this thing down a little. I want to make sure grandma's there. I want to make sure her father can be there to give a beautiful speech and have the great venue picked out and all those things. Like you play the kid early on, okay. Normally, there's a huge benefit to playing a quarterback on a rookie contract. That benefit will still be there again next year and the year after that. D Ford's money's coming off the books at some point. I don't believe Eric Armstead to be a long-term 49er. This thing that we have to penny pinch money years in advance to pay Warner, to pay this guy. It's the NFL. Bonta, what do I always say? Stop paying everybody 3 years early. You only pay premium people at the last possible second. And the only other person that I pay up front is a generational Mahomes-like quarterback. Everyone else I play hardball with. Every single one.
What?
Why? Because in the NFL, you have this thing called –
I'm glad you're coming around. I'm glad you're coming around. I'm glad you're coming around on me, Shasky, because when everybody said when Niners moved up to number 3 originally, there was a lot of people who believed that quarterback should start day one. And I say, whoa. He's a rookie quarterback. If you plan on having him for 10 years, the same thing applies with what happened in 2017. Let him. It's okay to let him sit. It's okay. Jared Goff sat, and Jared Goff is not the perfect comp, but look how much better he was for sitting. Look how better Aaron Rodgers was for sitting. Ben Roethlisberger sat for a little bit. Brady sat his rookie year. Don't forget, he didn't come in until year 2. So he had a full season to learn the playbook, to study film, to get in the NFL weight room, to learn the NFL program and the system. There's nothing wrong with sitting a rookie. I don't care. Even Trevor Lawrence. Like if I'm Jacksonville, I am not throwing him to the Wolves. I'm bringing back Gardner Minshew. I'm saying, hey, CJ Beathard.
Joe Burrow's career. It is forever over because of that leg injury. Yep. And I get it. They have no other option. But they put the kid in a position to get his brains. And I texted Bonta every week. The kid's balling. He might not survive here.
I hate playing rookie quarterbacks in year 1. I really do. And there's one day a rookie quarterback will win a Super Bowl. I don't think that day's today. I don't think that day's right now because you get into these playoff places and you get that first taste of the playoffs and the rookie clams up and you start playing, okay, we got to play not to lose. You think it was bad. If people thought it was bad that the Niners ran the ball and only passed 8 times against the Green Bay Packers, what do you think is going to happen with a rookie quarterback? Yeah. Rookie quarterback throws a near pick in the first quarter. Shanahan is shutting the playbook down. So you got no matter who you pick.
So let me play the devil's advocate for a second. Let's just say hypothetically to Nick's point. Nick, New England, Carolina. Carolina made a deal already, but the Denver Broncos, they say, here's a 2nd-round pick or here is a 1st-round pick. There's something that you can't turn down for Jimmy Garoppolo. We want him right now, okay? In that event, and I'm blown away, okay, I'll consider it. And then I'll go draft the best corner. I'll take Najee Harris. I'll take, whoever the best edge rusher is to play alongside Nick Bosa, and I can do something with D Ford. Like, okay, I'll change my opinion. But I'm not just dumping him, like Nick said, to just dump him to free up money. And this thing that you got to pay for, I love Fred Warner. I watched Navarro Bowman have the greatest linebacker season of all time, get robbed of the 2013 Defensive Player of the Year, and have his leg almost get amputated from his body. The game is violent. Stop paying people before you need to. It's the only sport where you don't need to pay people early. I don't understand this fan obsession.
I'm with you.
6 years from now, you have to pay Brandon Ayuk. Pump the brakes, dog.
So this is I see it through a different lens because going back to George Kittle before he got his extension, he was making less than Ross Dwelly. Like if I'm George Kittle, how the hell are you going to let me step onto the field being the second highest paid tight end on my football team when I'm the best tight end in the National Football League. So case by case, I get it, especially with George Kittle. Why would George Kittle step onto the football field making less than $1 million, making 2.5 over the previous 3 years or whatever it was? I don't know the exact figures, but in that case, if I'm George Kittle, I'd be pissed off. And I think when you have these blue chip players like George Kittle, like Fred Warner, okay, when you're entering your contract year, I get it. But there was people talking about Nick Bosa, how he's going to need a contract extension. He was a first-round pick making a ton of money who gets a fifth-year option. You don't need to pay him. But when it comes to these mid-round guys like George Kittle, like Fred Warner, I get it because you're kind of just, it's a retro pay for all of their accomplishments early on when they were on these rookie slotted deals where they're getting paid pennies. So for George Kittle, I think he did deserve his contract early on. Fred Warner, I see it the same way. It's case by case.
Nick, I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's football. That's how Patrick Mahomes was making like a couple $1 million. He was the best player in football.
Yeah.
50 touchdowns, MVP. That's what happens every year in every single sport.
But if you're George Kittle, he holds out in that situation. If they're not at the negotiating table, there's no doubt George Kittle holds out. And now you got a whole different situation.
What does that do to the locker room? And what does it do to the morale and everything?
They've paid everyone. Outside of DeForest Buckner pivoting and trading him away before it became an issue, they've paid everyone. In fact, I would say they have overpaid too many people too quickly. And I think they've done good business.
But you got to pay the right guys, Shasky. You got to pay the right guys.
You got to be selective.
You got to pay the right guys. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
All right, that was a lot of quarterback talk. Let's wrap things up. What should the 49ers do after the third overall pick, if that's where they do end up trading? Who knows? They have a tendency to trade down maybe for a slot, which is a scenario we didn't even talk about, which I'm not even trying to get into because we spent so much time talking about quarterbacks. But I do want to propose this. We've seen them trade back into the first round a handful of times. 2017, they traded back into the first round to get Reuben Foster. Last year, they had the 31st overall pick, moved up to get Brandon Ayuk. What about Najee Harris? Could you guys see them making a move to trade up for Najee Harris? Because I don't think there's a more impactful player they can get in the second round than a bell cow running back that's going to just scare the life out of opposing defenses.
Let me say this before I roll out of here because I got to roll out and get on daddy duty, and I appreciate the invite. I've been saying this for over a year now. Raheem Mostert has proven to me that he can't run the rock 20 times a game. He's not physical enough. He runs physical, but he doesn't have the body type to hold up over 16 games. The war of attrition gets to him. Jeff Wilson Jr. got banged up multiple times last year, and he's an undrafted rookie, undrafted free agent out of North Texas. I love the way he runs, but he can't sustain that for 16 games. Look at what Derrick Henry does. There's something about an old bell cow that wears on defenses. You know defenses. When you got even when Zeke had a great year, defenses didn't want to tackle him in the third and fourth quarter. They didn't want to tackle him. They started making business decisions. Even Tony Pollard against the Niners late last year. Richard Sherman, third quarter, fourth quarter, I'm good on tackling this dude. He's too physical. He runs too hard. Get me a dude in this offense who runs 20 to 25 times and starts bullying over dudes, whether it's Najee, whether it's Hubbard from Oklahoma State. I even like Trey Sermon out of Ohio State. Give me one of the North Carolina guys who I saw light up Miami. And the only reason why I saw those jokers is because I bet on the Hurricanes that game. And I said, who the hell is these dudes? That money was lost in the first quarter, and they threw up 50 on the Hurricanes. Get me a bell cow, please. I'm tired of the three-headed monster. There's something about having bell cows who wear you down.
Bonta knows where I stand on Najee. Mark my words. He will be a better NFL player when it's all said and done than Saquon Barkley. Just mark my words. That's how good Najee Harris is going to be. He's freaking awesome. Here's another guy I don't rule out. If Etienne is there in the second round,
oh my God,
and you can find a way to put him in this offense as a check down option, he's everything you wanted Jerick McKinnon to be, and then some. He is Alvin Kamara 2.0. All right, he's not going to run between the tackles like that. That's just not his game.
He does though.
I know, but him on the edges in the passing game and him on those one cuts to the outside, you're telling me the team speed with him and Mostert, and then you sprinkle a little Jeff Wilson Jr. And let's not forget, there are beast running backs everywhere. Like to Bonta's point, might drop to the 4th round. You might be able to get Sermon in the 4th round, and he's going to be a real nice player for somebody this year. But I love Najee Harris. This guy, vision, toughness, never gets squared up, hands, the ability to block. This is a complete football player.
Yep. All right, we'll wrap things up on that note because I know Bonta, he's living a busy life. He got working the morning show, the morning roast, 95.7 the game. He's got his host and pregame show on the Warriors, daddy duty. Bonta, Joe, thank you both for joining me this evening. I appreciate your time. Pleasure as always.
Love you, buddy.
Nick. Love you, Nick.
You're doing great work, bro.
I appreciate it.